To understand who controls the world today, we have to go back to May 1st, 1776. Not America's independence, something far darker. On that exact date in Bavaria, Germany, a man named Adam Weishaupt founded a secret organization. He called it the Order of the Illuminati. Weishaupt was a professor of law, brilliant, ambitious, and deeply frustrated. He believed that the world was being controlled by two forces, the church and the monarchy, and he wanted to destroy both. His plan was simple but terrifying. Infiltrate. Don't attack from outside. Infiltrate from within. Place members inside governments, inside churches, inside universities, inside banks, and slowly, from the inside, reshape the world according to their vision. Within just 5 years, the Illuminati had over 2,000 members across Europe. Politicians, judges, military generals, bankers, intellectuals, all secretly working toward one goal, a new world order. But in 1785, the Bavarian government discovered the plot. They raided Weishaupt's home, seized documents, exposed the organization, and officially, the Illuminati was disbanded. Officially. But here's what history doesn't tell you. You don't disband a network of 2,000 of the most powerful people in the world just because a government tells you to. You go underground. And that's exactly what they did. The Illuminati didn't disappear. They merged into one of the oldest and most powerful secret societies in human history, the Freemasons. Now, Freemasonry officially presents itself as a charitable brotherhood, a social club for professional men, harmless, benevolent, transparent. But look deeper, and a very different picture emerges. The Freemasons have 33 degrees of initiation. Most members, the lower degrees, genuinely believe it's just a social organization. But at the highest levels, the 32nd and 33rd degree, the secrets are very different, and the power is absolute. Consider this. 13 of the 39 signers of the American Constitution were Freemasons. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, James Monroe. The street layout of Washington, D.C., when viewed from above, forms a perfect Masonic compass and square symbol. This is not speculation. This is documented fact. You can verify it on Google Maps right now. The $1 bill, look at it carefully. The pyramid with the all-seeing eye, Novus Ordo Seclorum, written beneath it, which translates to New Order of the Ages. Sound familiar? The same New World Order that Adam Weishaupt dreamed of in 1776. And look at the date on the base of the pyramid, MDCCLXM, 1776, the same year the Illuminati was founded. These are not coincidences. These are signatures, left by people who wanted those who knew to know. But secret societies need money, enormous, unimaginable amounts of money. And that's where the third piece of this puzzle comes in, the Rothschild family. In the late 1700s, a man named Mayer Amschel Rothschild built the world's first international banking network, operating simultaneously in Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples through his 5 sons. At the peak of their power in the 1800s, the Rothschild family controlled approximately half of the world's total wealth, half of all the wealth in the entire world. Mayer Rothschild famously said, "Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws." Think about that statement. He wasn't interested in being a king or a president. He was interested in controlling the money that kings and presidents depend on. Because whoever controls the money controls everything. And here is where it gets truly dark. The Rothschilds financed both sides of the Napoleonic Wars. They lent money to Britain, and they lent money to France. They didn't care who won, because either way, they got paid back with interest. Wars were not tragedies to them. Wars were investments. In this model, financing both sides of conflicts has been documented in World War I, World War II, and conflicts continuing to this day. The families change, the banks change, but the strategy remains exactly the same. But secret societies need money, enormous, unimaginable amounts of money. And that's where the third piece of this puzzle comes in, the Rothschild family. In the late 1700s, a man named Mayer Amschel Rothschild built the world's first international banking network, operating simultaneously in Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples through his 5 sons. At the peak of their power in the 1800s, the Rothschild family controlled approximately half of the world's total wealth, half of all the wealth in the entire world. Mayer Rothschild famously said, "Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws." Think about that statement. He wasn't interested in being a king or a president. He was interested in controlling the money that kings and presidents depend on. Because whoever controls the money controls everything. And here is where it gets truly dark. The Rothschilds financed both sides of the Napoleonic Wars. They lent money to Britain, and they lent money to France. They didn't care who won, because either way, they got paid back with interest. Wars were not tragedies to them. Wars were investments. In this model, financing both sides of conflicts has been documented in World War I, World War II, and conflicts continuing to this day. The families change, the banks change, but the strategy remains exactly the same. Fast forward to 1954. A small hotel in the Netherlands, Oosterbeek, the Hotel de Bilderberg. A secret meeting is held. Attending are the most powerful people on the planet. Heads of state, central bank governors, CEOs of the world's largest corporations, media moguls, military commanders. No press allowed, no minutes published, no public record. Just 130 of the most powerful people in the world, meeting in secret for 3 days. This was the first Bilderberg meeting, and it has happened every single year since 1954. For 70 years, the most powerful people in the world have been meeting in secret, and for 70 years, the mainstream media has barely covered it. Former British Defense Secretary Dennis Healey, himself a Bilderberg attendee, once admitted, "World government is coming whether you like it or not." Not might come, not could come, is coming. The attendee list reads like a who's who of world power. Bill Clinton attended before becoming president. Tony Blair attended before becoming UK Prime Minister. Every NATO Secretary General has attended. The heads of Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all regular attendees. What do they discuss? We don't know exactly. But we can look at what happens after. Wars begin. Economies shift. Leaders rise and fall. Policies that were never voted on suddenly become law across multiple countries simultaneously, as if they were all decided in advance, in a hotel room, with no cameras and no accountability. But how do the decisions made in secret meetings become actual government policy? Through organizations like the Council on Foreign Relations, founded in 1921 in New York City. The CFR has 5,000 members, and its membership list is essentially a directory of American power. Every Secretary of State since 1945 has been a CFR member. Almost every CIA director. Almost every national security advisor. The heads of the New York Times, Washington Post, NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN. All CFR members. Think about that. The people who make foreign policy and the people who report on foreign policy are members of the same private organization, an organization that holds private meetings that are not open to the public, that are not subject to democratic oversight. Former CFR member Admiral Chester Ward once wrote, from the inside, that the CFR's goal was the submergence of U.S. sovereignty into an all-powerful one-world government. These are not the words of a conspiracy theorist. These are the words of a man who sat in those rooms and decided he could no longer stay silent. So how does a secret society control 8 billion people? They don't do it with guns. They do it with something far more powerful. Information. Control what people know, and you control what people think. Control what people think, and you control what people do. Step 1. Control the media. 6 corporations control 90% of all media in the United States. 6 corporations, every newspaper, every TV channel, every major website, owned by 6 companies, whose executives are members of the same private organizations. Step 2. Control education. The Rockefeller Foundation, another dynasty, connected to these networks, literally designed the modern American education system in the early 1900s. Their own documents stated the goal was not to educate independent thinkers, but to produce compliant workers, people who follow instructions, who don't question authority, who consume. Step 3. Control the money. The Federal Reserve, America's central bank, is not a government institution. It is a private corporation, owned by private banks, that prints the world's reserve currency and answers to no elected official. Who owns the Federal Reserve? That information is not fully public, but the names that appear in the historical records are the same names we've been talking about this entire video. Step 4. Control the narrative. Anyone who questions this system is immediately labeled conspiracy theorist, crazy, dangerous. The label itself is a psychological weapon, designed to make people afraid to ask questions, because a population that asks questions is a population that cannot be controlled. So the question everyone is thinking right now, is this still happening today? The evidence suggests not only is it still happening, it has never been more powerful. The World Economic Forum, founded by Klaus Schwab in 1971, openly talks about something called the Great Reset, a complete restructuring of the global economy, governments, and society. Schwab himself has written about a future where you will own nothing, and you will be happy. This is not hidden. This is published. This is their stated goal. The merger of technology and governance. Digital currencies that can be turned off if you disobey. Social credit scores that determine your freedom based on your behavior. Surveillance systems that track every movement, every purchase, every conversation. These are not science fiction. They already exist in parts of the world, and they are expanding. The question is not whether a global power structure exists. The evidence for that is overwhelming. The question is, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? Subscribe to Dark Mind Secrets, because this is only the beginning. The rabbit hole goes deeper than you can imagine. I'll see you in the next one, if you dare.